If you've been wondering why I've been constantly uploading videos from about April 3rd, 1974, there's a reason for that. Now, first of all, you're probably watching me on your television, or you might be watching me on your computer. Let's assume it's a TV. And this has happened to you, it's happened to me. You're watching a program, and all of a sudden it's interrupted by the National Weather Service. Let's assume it's a tornado watch. You'll notice they always say one thing. They always add this statement. After they tell you about the tornado watch, 10 till 10 o'clock p.m., you'll notice they always say this too. Be alert to rapidly changing conditions. Now, there's a 99% chance you take that with a grain of salt. Maybe you're scared. Maybe you got an attitude. 99% of you. And how do I know it's 99%? Over the decades, I've tested people to see their reaction. Let's say, back in the 80s, 90s, I've been testing people for 3 decades to see how serious, and I mean, it would actually be a real, in my lifetime, I've seen a lot of severe weather. I've seen a lot of tornado watches, tornado warnings on the TV. And there's actually if you'd ask me, what's the 2 things that I remember the most, during April 3rd, 1974, the super tornado outbreak. What's the 2 top things I remember the most? Pitch black skies. Pitch black skies. And how fast it got bad. Probably what scared me the most of all that is how fast it got bad. When the Weather Service says be alert to rapidly changing conditions, if you take that with a grain of salt, that will cost you your life. I say the number one thing that I remember most of April 3rd, 1974 would be how fast it got bad. And that is not hyped up. When you hear that on your TV, when you hear the National Weather Service, they're not hyping that up. Now, why have I been uploading multiple videos of July? I keep saying July. I don't know why I'm thinking July. Why do I keep uploading multiple videos of April 3rd? I guess I'm thinking of fireworks. I don't know. Anyway, of April the 3rd, 1974. Okay, about 3 or 4 days ago, I went to weather.com, and it showed a computer model that jet stream going directly north. Here in Ohio, state of Ohio, and surrounding states, they predict we might be mild. We are now. We might be mild until New Year's Eve. I'm not making that up. Okay, I'm on a bicycle. I keep track of the weather forecast. I look at the temperature map every day. I never miss. I look at the 5-day temperature. So I dress appropriately when I ride the bike. The forecast is today, it wasn't supposed to be this warm. It's only supposed to be in the low 40s. It's approaching 57 degrees here in Ohio. Some areas could go to 60. Now, I just said the weather.com is predicting us here in Ohio and the surrounding states. Sorry, I just ate a cookie. It's got in my throat. Ohio and the surrounding states, they're predicting us to be mild. Now, 50 degrees is mild for this time of year, but it's 55 now. Us mild until New Year's Eve. Now, to me, that's bad because, no, I like it, but once we get all that warm air in place for a few weeks, all it would take would be a weak low pressure system or a cold front, cool front, to give us a massive tornado outbreak. Yeah, they're predicting us mild until New Year's Eve. And the computer model so far is accurate because it was not supposed to be. It's supposed to be in the 50s for the next several days. It'll go up, it'll go down a little bit and pop back up. In a couple days it'll be like 40, and next Thursday and Friday warm again. But it's kind of got me a little worried there. Got me a little nervous. Not nervous, but it's got me a little worried. If we get all that warm air into place and we get a weak low pressure or a cool front, that's all it takes for a massive tornado outbreak. So when you hear of the Weather Service saying, be alert to rapidly changing conditions, do not take that with a grain of salt. It can kill you. It's amazing how 300-mile-an-hour winds can flip an 18-wheeler like it's a Tonka toy. Take a school bus and set it on top of a school building. Take a deck of playing cards. Take one card. You know how flimsy that paper is? Cardboard. Deck of playing cards. Drive that playing card into the side of a house. Take a plastic straw and drive it into a telephone pole. Enough suction from a tornado, and this has happened, to pull a body out of its grave. By the way, that wind speed is measured at mid-level of the storm, tornado. They've never measured wind speed at the ground level. I've seen that on a documentary. Why I think they don't? If the ground level wind speed during a tornado was 1,000 miles per hour, who would go to their basement? Who? That's why they don't. They don't want to put too much fear because it'd be worthless. A basement is no guarantee you're going to survive. There's been people sucked out of basements. Just the mathematical odds. Mathematics 101 states, law of average, you should survive in the basement. Keyword, should. So that's why I've been uploading April 3rd, 1974. Now you got to remember, don't forget this. April 3rd, 1974, I'll make sure I'm saying that right, because I've been saying July. April 3rd, 1974 was a beautiful day, evening. I think it happened on a Wednesday. I got home from school. Went out, our dog's name was Fufu. She was small to medium large. I was playing with her. I was a typical 11-year-old boy. The most beautiful day I can remember. What I do remember, there was too many birds chirping. My dog barked at it 2 or 3 times. Not much, a little. When I look back 43 years to this day, I wonder, sounds crazy, I wonder if those excessive amount of birds was trying to warn me and my dog that a massive storm was headed our way. See, they're up in the trees. So sound waves, they would detect sound waves better than even my dog. And my dogs have a keen sense of hearing. But since they're up in the trees, they can detect it easier. But I remember, and it was a beautiful sunny day. Not a cloud. I never forget it. Beautiful, but there was too many birds, not singing, chirping. When I look back, then I thought, well, because it's just warm out here. Probably about 75, 77 degrees, perfect spring day. 4:30, it actually hit at 4:40, the tornadoes. I think it was 4:40 p.m. Mom calls me in to supper. Hey, Greg, dinner's almost on the table, come in and eat. So I go into the bathroom. I was a typical 11-year-old washing my hands. I get done. I go in the living room with my dad. My dad always laid on the carpet. He had the TV on, television. He was watching TV. He was watching television. I sat down there and I joined him watching the TV. It didn't seem like it was 10 minutes. All of a sudden on TV, weather bulletin. I remember my dad saying, damn. 20 seconds later, his weather radio on top of the refrigerator, called a weather cube, it had a telescopic antenna. The weather cube alarm went off. It was loud. He hit the white button. Tornado, National Weather Service radar has detected a tornado. Walked outside, and I remember telling my dad this in a nervous tone of voice. Dad, I was shocked. It was pretty out here. We looked toward Loveland. It was as pitch black as black could get. When the Weather Service comes on your television and tells you, be alert to rapidly changing conditions, please do not take that with a grain of salt. And I know 99% of you do. I've seen your attitudes in 30 years. I think part of it, you're just scared. Who isn't? Who in the right mind isn't scared? But it just, oh my God, it just, do I have nightmares? I know what you're asking. Do I have nightmares over that? I was 11 years old. April 3rd, 1974. I can remember that day so clearly. Do I have nightmares over that? About every 4 or 5 years. In fact, I had one about a month and a half ago. So I'm not due for another nightmare in probably 2023. See, this is 2018. 2022, 2023. Seems like every 4 or 5 years. I wake up half sick. I think somehow oh God, it's so real. I think somehow it messes up with my brain waves. I actually wake up sickish. And as I'm waking, how is when you wake up from a nightmare and it's so real? I keep telling myself, that's been 43 years ago. This is now, just trying to wake up. I'm groggy. My heart is beat. Every now and then I sweat. I don't always sweat, pour the sweat, but my heart is beating out of my chest. And, I wake up, it just feels sickish. About 15, 20 minutes. That's why I always keep a Pepsi or a Coke soft drink next to my bed. Because if I ever have that nightmare every 4 or 5 years, it's rare. I sip on that Pepsi to help me wake up quicker. Well, I do anyway, regardless. Yeah, every great now and again, I'll have a nightmare over it. It just, wow. No, I don't worry about it every day. No, no, no. I know what you're thinking. No. But if they say there's a storm, I mean, I don't get hyper over rain. No, 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 no. But if there's a storm coming with a slight risk of severe weather, I'll hog the radar. You know, before I get real bad, I gotta hear the word slight risk. That's all it takes. Now, a thunder shower, little hyper. But boy, I tell you what, when they say there's just a slight, even a marginal, when they say there's a slight risk of severe weather, I hog that radar because I'm still haunted by April 3rd, 1974. Not every day. I'm not that crazy. But when there's when Norman, Oklahoma, the Storm Protection Center, when they issued a slight risk, even a slight risk of severe weather, I get panic. I get a little panic, and I keep the radar handy. See, you don't understand me if you wasn't born, so I'm not angry with you. The only people who would understand me is somebody my age. I've been laughed at when they find out I'm hogging the radar. It's pretty out here. I'll tell them, well, the SPC in Norman, Oklahoma, Storm Prediction Center, has put us under slight risk. They, I'm big, their attitude kicks in. They take it with a grain of salt. I don't, because I've seen what it can do.